fix everything of that. It's like this financial instrument, you know, where they put everything in it, the bad and the good stuff, and nobody knew what's in there in the end, just took it on faith, you know, and then it went down. Yeah, also insofar, this is the real challenge, the dare we have. Dare to say something, dare to create something which shows that our life fulfills itself, not just goes wrong. Because in fact, what I call the ethics behind our backs, in fact is most of our life fulfills itself. That's why we get so upset if sometimes it's not. Because we have the totally genuine feeling it should fulfill itself all the time, even in death. And when death comes untimely, like in the night in Toronto, this night, some night in Toronto I don't mind, but this night I would kind of mind still. So then we say, how can this be? What kind of conditions have been contributed to that? But it is this upset, that we are upset about the bad things, is on the level because most of our lives is working out. And the problem is there as a philosopher, and I personally think all philosophers, all smart people know that. But it's very tricky to talk about it. Because the moment you talk about the good things, they turn into business plans, they turn to be, you try to keep them, nicht? You just don't allow them to be fleeting, nicht? It's kein Augenblick, sondern it has to be a stand here, etc. And in this moment it turns into something negative. Them said nicht, also it's like you have to eat chocolate for the rest of your life, and zwar every day for all your meals. Good luck, even if it's Swiss chocolate. Yeah. Now, okay, also, that's also usually that's 15 minutes after the talk, I have the right to make my comments to it. So now I'm open for questions to him, please.
Can I say?
Yes, certainly. Yeah, you have the right.
I mean, it's something I quite liked in your comments, having lived through some glorious failures myself, was the quotation of Beckett. In the 1990s, there was a very interesting chance to embrace computer technology, network technology, and to actually live to the fullest, in a way, the possibilities, the potentials that really came out of that. And this is something that I personally have been very interested in for the time when it seemed to me that those potentials could be expressed. And so what you could do with that was create many different things, but one of the things that I got interested in was this experimental sort of situation that you could create through the internet, also politically, and to do these things which where one was able to transform the norms of a situation deeply and really shatter that and open up this kind of carnivalesque moment, which is a carnival of tremendous complexity, not of simplicity and regression, but rather a future-oriented thing in the spirit of, I think, the best leftism, which is always about transforming the future and not going back to the past. What I presented in the lecture was, of course, a history. You're right that it's history that I was presenting there. So I presented the what seems to me to be the main line of opposition to the machine system as it is configured by capital, because this is the real thing. Now, Artaud, of course, has that romantic nature thing. You're absolutely right about that. But when you get to a situation like Detroit, we're not talking about a romantic nature thing. We're talking about the difficulty of living when you're made into a part of a machine. And a machine which is not a machine oriented towards the development of the intelligence and the senses, as machines can be. I mean, you know, of course there are machines that I love, you know, and of course I am a Lizzo-Guattarian. So obviously what I'm interested in their work is the reversal of power that makes the machine into something else. So I think this was very interesting to embrace in terms of the installation of the machinic system of the network society and the whole bioinformatics system up until the point when the reactionary position of the Bush administration and of a certain, segment of the whole world capitalist class.
Go to Obama, tell him.
Pushed this.
Osama, whatever.
So I think that, and I also think that that the types of power, I think that now you have the configuration of a new mega machine, which is a very different one, not the same one as in the past. And therefore, when we get to the present, I'm no longer a historian. I'm a creator, an activist, and a cultural critic. So I think I think that's sort of the trajectory that I want to do, is to move through history to see what that makes in the present, as say what one can make with that. And the point is that because of these sort of reversals, conditions change. Now, I do have a critique of the way that the various sciences of complexity have been developed, but nonetheless, I mean, it's very interesting that, Maturana and Varela were very interested in artificial life, right? For them, it was obvious that you should create artificial life, quite to the opposite of someone like Artaud, because they had determined the integrity of life, and therefore were able to see that what was really at stake is the instrumentalization of that integrity by hierarchical relations of power. Okay? So this is what I think I'm trying to get at, and so I would have a disagreement with you over the likelihood of robots doing the work, because what has happened, is that the way that robotization, automation has been installed in history there's actually two things that happen. One is the elimination of labor, which caused so much problems, trying to create a more open and more beautiful world in the 60s and 70s, and in America we have to suffer from that. But what happened to all the people unemployed by automation is that they ended up in the gigantic prison complex that we now have in America, which is not a joke, but a reality. So this is a real problem. The other thing that happened was the globalization of capital and the installation of a very primitive type of factory system in China and Korea and in other countries, and in Mexico right next to where we live and so on. This is also a problem. However, at the same time, I appreciate your contribution, because if one sticks with the romanticism of Artaud, who clearly had a tremendous power, but when you live through the breaks, I think you have to definitely embrace the possibilities of the future and not the.
But what is the future? I, as a philosopher, reserve the right to think in the horizon of eternity, subspecia eternitatis, like my friend Spinoza. That is, I know that for the next 50, maybe next 100 years, you probably right. The robots will be more a menace than a real help for us. But a fully automatic society in which all the functions in which we should not get involved at all, because we only make it worse instead of better. And the only feedback is, if somebody does not like it, the machines have to change as long as everybody likes it. They call it a feedback system. The machines does not mind, because it's not a human being with an understanding of, this is dishonorable for me to change here in any way. There is a way to do it, and in terms of the other things, but how do we pay this unemployed worker? That is really the less important thing. Tax the machines. There you go. Productivity. Exactly. That is, everybody knows that it will go this way. We just don't talk about it, but it will go this way. And the real problem is, if a person without employment can have a fulfilled life. And then in German we have the difference between work and profession. So my point is, we should all be professionals. That we should something we do, but without regard of if it makes us a good living or not. So is it something we feel strongly about it and we want to find out? And I can even think that there are some people who kind of recreate old skills and being carpenters, etc. But they be it because they love wood and like to work in that. I'm not thinking that everybody goes fishing, as Marx thought.
But we need more.
Marx says, right? Yeah.
But we need more Spinozas. I mean, this was our political program with Multitude in Paris, was to elaborate ideas about the concrete possibility for changing the world in this sense. This meant obviously paying